Grantham is a quiet town where life oves gently, like the wind sweeping across the Lincolnshire fields. But for Daniel Rivers, life had not been gentle for a long time. The silence of the past 8 months felt heavier than winter fog, the kind that sits on your chest and refuses to lift. He stood outside St. Wolfram's Church, staring at the old stonework as if answers were buried inside the cracks. The church bells chimed 6 times, the sound echoing through the chilly evening. Families walked past him, chatting, laughing, holding hands, reminders of everything he had lost. Her name was Amelia Brooks, his wife, his almost ex-wife. The divorce hearing was only 6 days away. Daniel shoved his hands in his coat pockets, exhaling softly. "How did we get here, Amal?" he whispered to the wind, calling her by the nickname only he once used. 8 months ago, he had been a man with a stable job at the Grantham digital hub, a loving marriage, and plans for their first home. Now, he was an empty version of himself, bruised by loneliness, battered by guilt, and carrying the weight of a mistake he couldn't undo. He checked his phone again. No messages. No missed calls. Amelia hadn't spoken to him in weeks, not since the last argument that ended with her slamming the door of the tiny apartment they once shared. And now he feared he had lost her forever. On the other side of town, in a small but warm flat above a bakery on London Road, Amelia sat at her kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cup of chamomile tea. The steam fogged her glasses as she stared at the divorce papers lying in front of her. 8 months apart, yet every detail of him still lived in her mind. The way he used to hum when he cooked, the warmth of his hands, the softness in his eyes whenever he whispered, "I love you." But love wasn't their problem. Trust was. And broken trust, she believed, didn't grow back. It started with the late nights. Daniel working overtime, meetings that stretched until midnight, his sudden secretiveness, the murmured calls she wasn't allowed to overhear. The woman he often mentioned, Clara, his co-worker. Then came the picture. A single photograph forwarded anonymously to her phone. Daniel and Clara together at a cafe in Nottingham, smiling too closely, laughing like a little family of their own. Amelia had felt something tear inside her. She left that same night, packed her bags, moved out, blocked him everywhere. Only later did she discover the truth. Clara had been battling depression, and Daniel was merely helping her through a dark phase under a company support program. The cafe picture was taken during a mental health support session. But by the time Amelia knew, the damage was done. The trust was dead. Or maybe buried, waiting for someone brave enough to dig it out. She sighed and ran a hand through her long, curly dark hair. Outside her window, Grantham moved peacefully, the streetlights glowing softly, cars humming past, life going on as if the universe didn't care that her heart was still broken. A knock on the door snapped her back. Her heartbeat quickened. She wasn't expecting anyone. Amelia opened the door hesitantly. Standing there was Margaret Rivers, Daniel's mother, a graceful older woman with silver hair and gentle eyes. She held a small paper box, the kind a bakery might use for pastries. "Amelia, dear, can we talk?" Margaret asked softly. Amelia froze. She hadn't seen Margaret since the separation. "Come in," she finally whispered. Margaret sat slowly, placing the pastry box on the table, but not opening it. "How are you holding up, my dear?" "Trying," Amelia murmured. "I know you no longer want to hear his name," Margaret began, "but Daniel hasn't been himself since you left. He's fading." Amelia blinked rapidly, refusing to cry. She had promised herself she wouldn't break again. "Margaret, I can't go through that pain again. I can't live wondering if I'm not enough." Margaret reached for her hand gently. "My dear, sometimes the storms in marriage don't come to destroy. They come to clear the path." Amelia looked away, swallowing the lump in her throat. What if clearing the path means leaving him behind? Margaret shook her head. And what if it means finding each other again? Silence. Heavy, emotional silence. Then Margaret pushed the pastry box toward her. "What's inside?" Amelia asked. "It's not pastries," Margaret said. "It's something Daniel asked me to give you, something he's been writing for months. He didn't know how else to reach you." With trembling fingers, Amelia opened the box. Inside were dozens of small handwritten letters. Each one dated. Each one addressed to her. Each one a piece of Daniel's heart. She didn't open them. Not yet. She wasn't ready. But her hands shook. Her heart shook. Margaret stood. "Whatever decision you make it with your heart, not your hurt." When she left, Amelia remained seated, staring at the box of unread love. Something in her chest felt alive again. Faint, fragile, but alive. Daniel paced inside the empty apartment. The walls felt colder without Amelia's pictures. Her scent was long gone from the pillows. Her laughter, the one he once heard every morning, now existed only in memory. If Amelia didn't return, he was prepared to let her go, but not without giving her his truth. That night, he sat on the floor and opened his laptop. He started typing a letter he'd never send, yet he somehow hoped she'd find it. "Amal, I don't know how to fix what I broke, but if love counts for anything, then I hope you remember ours. I hope you remember us. Even if you don't come back, thank you for the years you gave me. I'll love you quietly from a distance, if that's what you choose. Asterisk." He stopped typing when his phone vibrated with a message. "Unknown number. We need to talk." Daniel's breath caught. He knew that number. He would know it anywhere. Amelia. They met the next afternoon at Wyndham Park, her favorite place in Grantham. The winter sun cast a soft glow on the river Wytham, and children played in the distance, their laughter breaking through the cold. Amelia stood by the bridge railing, her brown coat fluttering gently. She looked older, not by age, but by everything she had carried inside her heart these past months. Daniel approached slowly, not wanting to scare the moment away. "Amal," he whispered. She didn't turn immediately. When she finally did, her eyes were tired, but not angry. They stood there in silence for nearly a full minute. Then she spoke. "Why didn't you fight for us?" Daniel's chest tightened. "I tried, but every time I reached out, you blocked me. I didn't want to make your pain worse." "You should have come," she said. "I needed you to come. I needed you to fight louder than my fears." He stepped closer. "I thought giving you space was respecting you." "No," she whispered. It felt like abandonment. Daniel felt the words pierce through him. She took a deep breath. "Tell me everything, Daniel. The truth. No filters." And so he did. He told her about Clara, the downward spiral she had fallen into. The nights he stayed late at work because Clara's mental health episodes were unpredictable. The guilt he carried for not explaining earlier. The fear that Amelia might misunderstand. The anxiety that kept him silent. Amelia listened quietly. Then she surprised him with a question he didn't expect. "Did you love her?" Daniel swallowed. "No. Not even for a second. My heart has only ever been yours." A single tear rolled down her cheek. "And why didn't you trust me enough to tell me?" she whispered. Daniel broke. Right there. Right on that bridge. He fell to his knees, not in drama, but in surrender. "Because I was afraid of losing you," he choked out. "But I lost you anyway." Amelia stared at him, and everything inside her cracked wide open. She knelt with him, placing her forehead against his. "I'm scared too," she confessed. "I'm scared to forgive you. Scared to trust again. Scared to open my heart and watch it break twice." "Then we'll rebuild slowly," Daniel murmured. "Brick by brick. Tear by tear. Day by day. I'll never rush you. I'll never lie to you. Just give me a chance to try." For the first time in 8 months, she allowed herself to lean into him. Not fully, not completely, but enough. "Okay," she whispered. reconciliation isn't a magical moment. It's work. And for Daniel and Amelia, the weeks that followed were painful, messy, and full of vulnerability. They began meeting twice a week, not as a couple, but as two wounded souls trying to relearn each other. They attended counseling sessions at a small therapy center near Grantham Marketplace. They wrote letters instead of arguing. They asked hard questions. They confronted insecurities. They worked through triggers. Some days they cried. Some days they laughed. Some days they nearly walked away again. But they didn't. Because love, they discovered, is not the absence of fear. It's choosing each other despite the fear. And slowly, very slowly, trust began to grow again. One evening, after a particularly emotional counseling session, they walked home under a light drizzle. Grantham's streetlights reflected off the wet pavement, casting a warm glow around them. Amelia stopped suddenly. "Daniel," she called softly. He turned. "I don't want the divorce anymore." His breath caught. "Amal." She raised a hand. "But I need one promise." "Anything," he whispered. "Don't ever shut me out again. Not in pain, not in fear, not in confusion." Daniel stepped closer, cupping her face in his hands. "You are my safe place. My home. I'm done hiding." For the first time in 8 months, she smiled a real smile. And then, under the soft Grantham rain, she kissed him. Slowly, gently, as though kissing him back to life. 6 months later, they renewed their vows in a small private ceremony in the garden behind their apartment. No guests, no decorations, no fancy dresses. Just two people, holding hands, promising never to break what they almost lost. Daniel whispered, "Thank you for letting me love you again." Amelia replied, "Thank you for fighting for us, even when I pushed you away." Their story wasn't perfect, but it was real. And in a world full of broken promises and temporary affection, they found something worth rebuilding: each other.